Hi, welcome to the Tournament Center. I'm Zac here with Ali Aintrazi.
Hello.
Hi, what's going on?
What's up?
He's going to talk to us about a green-white mid-range deck that plays a lot of tokens card. Now, before we look at some of the individual cards, can you just tell us sort of what your deck does and why you wanted to play it today?
Well, usually the deck is just a mid-range deck. It's a deck that fights all the aggro decks and tries to control decks too. Like, it wants to win during the middle of the game, hence the mid-range. So it just swarms the board, it populates, and just tries to overwhelm your opponent with tokens.
Awesome. Okay, so let's take a look at exactly how it goes about doing that. Now, this is sort of, it seems like sort of the core early game suite of threats. We've got Experiment 1, we've got Call of the Conclave, Voice of Resurgence, and actually 4 copies of Vitu-Ghazi Guildmage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this looks like this deck can produce some pretty fast starts. Does that actually happen very
It can,
often?
yeah. It's not as much as you think.
Okay.
But it can, like with Experiment 1, but we only have one drop.
Right.
This is the best one drop in the format.
Okay.
And Dried Militant in the second, but this guy is really good. We were going to run a Militant, but we wanted the more stocky middle game route. So we're just this is the only one drop we have.
And why is Experiment 1 the best one drop in the format?
Because he grows so big, especially in this deck. Yeah, and also he lives through a Supreme Verdict.
Totally.
By regenerating, so.
Right, he has to become a 1/1, but he still stays on the board.
Yeah, well,
Or a 2/2. I mean,
exactly. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. Yeah. So he can live through Wrath, and he's just grows. So he's really very good.
Awesome. So, I mean, Call of the Conclave, you don't have to do a lot of convincing to tell me to play a 2-mana 3/3, but it also makes a token. So, I mean, how much of a populate deck is this?
Yeah, it's very heavy populate. Like you said, this is like a Watch Wolf with the drawback usually is a token.
Right.
But and here is actually a benefit too because of Vitu-Ghazi Guildmage.
Cool.
Populate with it, so.
All right, so we were talking about why the tokens are good. Voice of Resurgence here
Oh
also
man,
got
this
amazing.
guy, it's amazing.
I hear everybody talking about how amazing this card is.
He's so good.
We haven't done a deck tech with it just yet, so why don't you just take 10 seconds, explain to us why this card is so awesome.
All right, this guy not only first of all he's a 2/2 for 2, which is fine. But the fact that he fights control decks by making them play on their turn, not on your turn.
Right.
Otherwise, he makes a nasty token. He also fights aggro decks because he can block a guy, then make a bigger guy, and you want him to die so much. You want him to die. So he gains you life against aggro, against control. That play fair, and even if they wrath the board, you're still left with some sort of board state.
Right.
Either a token, maybe a token in Experiment 1 or whatever. So it fights all the decks very fair.
Oh yeah.
Very nicely, like the control, aggro, and the mid-range deck. So probably the best card in the deck.
Cool. So we've seen a lot of those cards, even some standard appearance with them. This Vitu-Ghazi Guildmage, not really a card we've seen in standard at all. Yeah, great draft card. And you're playing not just a copy or two. You're playing the full 4 copies. Why does this guy earn a slot?
The reason, because she populates and she can. It's a 2-drop again, 2/2 against control. She can reswarm the board.
Right.
Or she can make we'll get to later, but Wurms or more elemental or 8/8, whatever how big this guy is.
Sick.
But we're running 4 because we wanted to run more lands.
Right.
We're running 26 lands because don't get mana screwed. And she's also mana intensive, so we're just let's play 4 her.
Even if you're flooded out and she's your only threat,
it's
she
so
can be
good.
An army by herself.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the deck's bigger threats, because it's not just 1 and 2 drops. Again, 4 copies of Smiter, 4 Advent of the Word, and 4 Scion of Vitu-Ghazi, a card that I'm really excited about. So could you explain this suite of cards? Again, 4 of each of these, not necessarily the most intuitive, especially with Scion.
Yeah, okay. This is, obviously these are all, this deck plays the biggest creatures. And for 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and 4-drop. 3-drop is a Smiter. He's the biggest guy you can build. Yeah, he's huge. Yeah. He grows Experiment 1, he's uncounterable, just a very nice guy. I like him actually. He's nice. You should know him.
It's fun to hang out with.
He is. And the Wurm, this card, again, it's good. Not only does it grow everything and you can populate with it, it's good against control. If they wrap the board, you can be okay, that's fine. I still have 5/5. Exactly.
Yeah.
Come to the party. Let's play. Let's party. All right.
And speaking of come to party, this card curves very nicely.
Exactly.
Into Big Daddy here.
Yeah. They wrath, you're Wurm. All right, Scion. make a bird, another Wurm, like Wrath again. They have to Wrath again.
Also makes your Voice of Resurgence tokens really huge, but realistically, I mean, we're telling like great stories about this card, but like how often does it actually come up that you populate 3/3s, 5/5s, and XXs and don't just make kind of 2 birds? I mean, is that a real thing?
Sometimes you do make 2 birds. Like sometimes you have the option of making like a 3/3 healer. But you're like, you know what? I need a flyer. Like this board is clogged up. I need a flyer, and I need to hope I draw Collective Blessing. So.
Awesome. And so he earns his slot though. I mean,
he does.
Worth 4 copies.
Yeah, he's better than Armada Wurm, hands down.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Like think about it. Like he can make a Wurm or a bird, and like he costs 1 less, which is huge in this format.
Yeah, of
so
course.
it's amazing. Very good card.
So those are all our 4-ofs. Those are kind of the meat and potatoes of our deck. Let's take a look now. It's not just giant, dirtily guys. We've got 3 copies of Selesnya Charm, kind of doing double duty as a token to populate and as a removal spell. What mode does this card mostly get cast in?
Right now, I'm playing this mostly aggro, so it's mostly making 2/2s because there's the Falter guy. When he attacks, he basically can't block. So you let that resolve, make a 2/2, then block it. So he also kills like Ob's Dat. He kills all the big nasty guys. The only guys he doesn't kill is obviously Blood Baron and Aetherling, which are a problem, but he kills everything else. Angel of Serenity, all that stuff.
Cool, so we got Rootborn Defenses, obviously some Wrath Insurance, obviously can populate great against other creature decks. You can almost block, just kill sometimes their entire
blowout.
team.
Yeah, literally a blowout, yeah.
And finally, Collective Blessing. Now, it's a one-of, it's got a very unique effect. This is one of those cards that almost feels like, oh, Myers, I just need something at 6 mana. How do we decide we needed to play this guy?
Well, this guy makes all your threats, all your creatures threats, like a 2/2 becomes a 5/5.
Right.
Also, like, what's huge is like a lot of mid-range decks are going with Mizzia Mortars to kill you.
Sure.
And this puts all your guys in Mortars range, so it's very nice.
What matchups, I guess, do you want to draw at the most?
The mid-range decks is for sure. Even as control, you want it to.
All right, fantastic. So we're going to take a look on now really quick at the mana base. Forest, Plains, Guildgates, Temple Garden, pretty intuitive. I guess the only question I have is why are we playing 26 lands?
Exactly. We're playing 26 for the Guildmage.
Okay.
And the reason we're not running Grove the Guardian.
Right.
I obviously thought about that card, but you have so many cards that cost like green-white.
G-Dub.
Like Voice, Guildmage, Charm, the Wurm, Smiter. Like you have so many cards, and like if you draw that card too early, it can just mess you up. And also, it's not gonna get control. It just makes your reward bigger.
Right.
That's all it does.
And it's not Wrath Insurance.
Exactly.
Which is a huge thing.
Exactly. Very big.
So let's take a look at the sideboard actually and what matchups these cards come in against. Now, this looks kind of like your aggro package to me. Centaur Healer, Unflinching Courage. You want to gain some life. You want to have some bodies on the table. That seems pretty straightforward to me. I guess what I was more curious about is the next cards that we're going to look at here. Gideon and Frontline Medic. I've heard Patrick Sullivan tell me this card was better against mid-range Greed decks. I've heard people tell me it's against Sphinx's Revelation. This card, good against Wrath, also kind of good against decks that swarm the board. What are these guys doing?
Yeah, you said it. Very good against mid-range decks because it lets you bash every turn. Not worry about anything. And also, it's Revelation Insurance. You don't want them to Revelate. So this card is double duty. Like I bring 2 against mid-range and 3 against like Revelation decks.
Totally.
And Gideon, same thing.
Oh yeah.
He's like a key ruin, like 5/5 key ruin against control.
Right.
Against aggro or mid range. If you can become like a board stall.
Yeah.
They have to start attacking you, otherwise you're gonna wrap the board. Literally obliterate the board.
Him by himself.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
no one wants that. No one wants that.
Awesome. Gideon, a little bit of an underappreciated Planeswalker, but doing work here. Finally, let's take a look at the rest of the sideboard. I've got Collective Blessing. It's in the main deck. Rootborn Defenses in the main deck. The final card I want to ask about really is just how did we decide to play Angelic Skirmisher and construct it?
We just wanted it against mid-range decks. It's also very good with Frontline Medic. Like if you have this card Medic, you can do Vigilance.
Oh wow!
And Indestructible. So you just swing them.
Then
they come back to strike. You're like first strike. So it's like Blessing, but it's decent top deck.
Awesome. Yeah, right. And it can if you don't have any more creatures, it can still take over the game by
itself. Much better. It's better than the third Blessing. So that's the reason I'm playing it instead of a third Blessing.
Awesome. And then finally, we've seen a lot of Angel of Serenities here, kind of just, again, a trump in mid-range mirrors.
Exactly. Or it's the mirror match, where it's very slow, very grindy. You're just like, all right, eat your tokens. I have 5/6.
And you have 26 lands, so you can cast it.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, awesome. Really exciting. Thank you so much, Ali.
No problem.
Great deck with green-white mid-range. I'm Zac Hill. This is the Tournament Sitter. Let's get back to more Pro Tour Dragons Maze.